I got into this industry back in 2013, primarily working with a company called Multimorphic. I was mostly working on things like operating system software and lower level game framework code that now still exists in some part today in the P3 line of products. And from there I started doing lower level systems work for companies like Valley Dynamo, Spooky Pinball, American Pinball, and a bunch of others in the industry. I'd worked with Scott Denisi on several of his games, and oftentimes my job was to make it go, and then the designers, like Scott or like Josh Kugler, Eric Priepke, would make it fun. That was mostly the separation of duties there. And it wasn't really until 2020 when 86 Pixels as a company started getting into the pinball mod market. We had developed a mod for Twilight Zone called the PinVision Interactive Backboard Display, which was basically a 15-inch display at the rear of the playfield that replaced the static piece of wood backboard, and it interacted with every single mode in the game. Originally bought enough parts to build 20, and then just kind of hoped, hey, maybe we'll sell 20 of these and see what happens. And pretty quickly, 20 turned into 40, which turned into 100, 150, 200, 300, etc. And that's really where 86 Pixels began in terms of creating its own products. Riding on the success of Twilight Zone, we went ahead and decided to do Tron. I didn't actually own a Tron, but we had had several collectors in the area like Jordan and Becca, two of the most remarkable people you'll ever meet in the hobby, were nice enough to lend me their Tron, which, let's face it, at the time cost as much as a used car. Sales on that were remarkably positive, still continue to sell them to this day. And again, people were just really clamoring for that level of interactivity. And from then on, our mantra for creating a mod meant it had to be interactive. It had to look like it was factory on the game, and you know, the highest compliment that any mod maker can typically get is when the creator of the game walks up and says, I wish we could have done that. So then the discussion took shape in the form of what can we create that can go into any game? What are the underserved areas of the market where we can create immense value? And really, where can we give the customer a bang for their buck? And that's where Pinlights was born. The easiest way to describe Pinlights Classic Editions are the fact that they're everything you need and none of what you don't. So if you want an easy way to add additional playfield general illumination to your game in one fell swoop, you've got it. If you're a tournament player and you want a well-lit but distraction-free playing environment, we've got you covered. You want flasher integration? We've got you covered. We've designed everything from the mobile apps all the way down to the hardware, in addition to custom spec lighting rails to make sure that the integration is top-notch. You can have as many tweaks and dials as you want, but if you leave everything on factory settings, it's going to look just as great. All Pinlights units that you get out of the box are going to be diffused and easy to hook up. Installation typically only takes about 20-30 minutes, and most of the work is typically in prep and just tidying up wires. So historically, if you've had artwork on your game, you had to be very, very careful about what you were mounting to the side of your cabinet. Either it would obstruct a lot of the artwork, or even worse, it would pull the artwork off over time. And so we've taken that into consideration and come out with a magnet-free mounting system which clips underneath the glass channel on the side of the cabinet, does not place any force on your art blades, so you don't have to worry about them falling off, and it's stealth. You don't even know it's there. The best part is if you take the light rails off of those mounting plates, you can lift the playfield up. It's made with 26 gauge steel. It's black, so it blends right in. You don't even know it's there. Also, at the rear of all Pinlight bars are actually our QuickConnect System, which you can use to disconnect in seconds. You don't have to remove all of the control boards and wire looms and all that stuff from the guts of the machine. So basically, you disconnect that, you pull your light bars out, you can do whatever you want underneath the playfield in the back box or whatever, and you throw them back on when you're done. The question came up of pricing. how much do we charge for something like this? Where is the market currently at? How can we make enough money to sustain ourselves as a company, but also be an immense value add for the consumer? And let's remember, we've got beautifully diffused lighting. We've got super bright UV flasher integration. We've got practically invisible magnet mounting system. We've got custom app with tournament mode. You've got a cool white, warm white mix and match style diffused lighting solution. You've got all of this functionality that's baked in. What do you charge? And to be honest, the price that we've come up with is right at $179. And we think that at that point, you're getting a lot of value for your money. And for this first edition of Pinlights Classics, we feel that it's an immense value for the customer. It doesn't matter if you're mounting these on a 1980s or a 1970s Williams game or your latest Stern, Foo Fighters or Aerosmith or Ghostbusters, these things are going to look great and they're going to integrate well with the game. You got an older game and you want a warmer feel, bump up the warm white setting. You got a newer game and you want sort of a colder blue feel, bump up the cool white setting. If you want extra blues or reds inside of the GI color mixture, just bump up that GI flasher mix setting. It's easy to dial in what you want. We're doing this thing called the honest marketing promise. And quite simply, it means having numbers to back up what we're claiming. We do know that with lighting products, things can be a little bit deceptive with camera color correction and different things that cameras tend to automatically do. So therefore, in every product that we release, we're going to use a light meter to show you exactly what the differences are in terms of the lumen output of either competition or stock lighting solutions versus their Pinlights counterparts. In addition, we promise not to flood the community with a bunch of posts about our product. We'll constrain things to typically one launch thread or one update thread, but in general, we won't be in your face about it. If you have any questions, you can come to us and ask. And if you want any of our products, you can either purchase on Pinside so that the Pinside community gets a cut, or you can purchase at pinlights.net. And as always, we'll answer your questions or have as much instructional video content as we can possibly get to make sure that you're confident enough in installing this product and confident in what you're getting. So we had a couple sets of Pinlights Classics at TPF 2024. And a friend of mine, Eric Smith of Titan Pinball, was nice enough to let me put a set on his Williams Monster Bash. It wasn't one of the remakes, but it had very, very nice side art on the game, had very, very nice, playfield condition, etc. And I think that the Pinlights had really presented the game well. They just looked absolutely gorgeous. The playfield popped. The flasher interaction just fit the game perfectly. It was the chef's kiss on all of the just choreography of the game. And he ended up winning runner-up best DMD out of the entire show. And while I don't necessarily think that the Pinlights were the direct cause, I definitely think that they showed the game in a great light, pun somewhat intended.